You know, Kelly, as we sit here and look over data, the grant, we're in the last year, it's been 5 years. It's been amazing work. When I think about that first day, you know, about you and I starting working together, you as the director and me assisting you, and one of the first major things is on our mind is building relationships. And the number of districts, and think about the number of teachers and how nervous, but we knew it was outstanding work. How did you feel? Did you feel that same way? We were nervous, but we were so excited because it was amazing work.
Yes, so nervous to take over the grant because it was such impactful work for our districts, and especially the districts that came on board with us, agreed to take on this work with us. Those 11 districts were just all on board from the beginning. So thankful, you know, to have their support through this, but it was overwhelming. The grant was huge. I mean, like when you started reading about all of the things that we were going to do in those districts, that we were going to support them to do, it was very overwhelming. And I think we learned early on that we had to take that in bite sizes. And we learned that we had to go slow to go fast. And so that, to me, is where we gain momentum, is by being able to take a step back and think about, okay, let's be intentional.
We talk about awareness, and there's been that stigma in the past of mental health.
With it being a small community, sometimes there's been a stigma around it of like, I don't want anybody to know I'm getting therapy.
You know, sometimes little people need us to meet them just where they are.
It's been great coming here to see the work that the grant has done with this district, but also the things that this school district just does on their own. People here really care about kids, and they care about each other, and I keep hearing the word family. And so that's wonderful.
One thing that we realized that I see and we now try to focus on is that when we talk about learning for students, we know they have to be emotionally ready. And for me, I thought that used to be determining which kids were in panic mode or were in distress or were having a bad day, and trying to focus our resources through our counselors and other areas for those kids to help them make it through the day. I have completely changed how I understand the emotional needs of our kids and ourselves, to now knowing that we have to build resiliency in our kids. We have to allow them to make mistakes. We have to allow our adults to make mistakes. And when we can bring ourselves down to a point where no one's in trouble, and that we're all working together, and that learning is part of failing and vice versa, it completely changes what our kids see and the adults.
Last I counted, we are servicing over 300 kids in mental health services for school-based therapy.
There's always been a focus on mental health, but over the past few years, it has just flourished and blossomed. And our students are probably more well supported now than they have ever been before.
I think the benefits that we've seen is just the intentionality of making sure that we're looking at the whole picture and not getting tunnel vision.
I think one of the greatest pieces that we did early on, right when the grant rolled out, was by hiring those embedded mental health professionals for the districts. And you know, 9 of our districts, you know, hired their own in-district, and that was fabulous that they could do that just with support, salary support from the grant.
And then along came the Project Prevent grant. The grant really allowed us to see with a little more professional lens of seeing the true needs based upon the work that the grant required us to do.
And what this program and what our grant has been able to do is build an awareness, help empower our individuals to understand social and emotional well-being as well as mental health, and give them the tools that they need to be able to move forward to support our students and even our families in some aspects. And I've been excited about that.
I think the biggest change that I have seen is just the teachers being able to recognize and have an awareness of those internalizing and externalizing behaviors. And then they are having discussions among colleagues about those behaviors.
I think one thing that I've loved to see grow is that now a lot of principals are so comfortable and confident themselves with conducting some of these initial assessments. There's been so much growth in our district, and I think just for teachers to know that there's resources that we have that we didn't have years ago for our students.
I feel like building relationships has been on the forefront of the grant. I've seen staff really work at building those relationships with students to where trying to help those students feel like they belong, that sense of community. I've seen staff welcome those community partners into their buildings and working to provide a space for them, which is huge. And it seems like there's more of that team approach on making sure that students' mental health needs are being met in the buildings among whether it's the teachers or the administration or the school counselor, just working to see that that student is referred or getting the services they need from their community partners. I've seen the collaboration between the community partners and the staff as well. So those relationships have really grown. We probably spent at least 6 to 8 months right there out of the gate with just building relationships. I remember them saying, what are we supposed to be doing? What are we supposed to be doing? And we just kept saying, build relationships, meet with those community partners, meet with the principals, meet with those school counselors.
And get to know the kids, be in the hallways, be visible, know that they have that extra support, that extra help in the building.
Let them know that you're here to support, and we're all a team. We're not going to go through this work being in silos. We're really going to develop these partnerships, collaborate together, and really do great things for students and their mental health.
As they come to us, they need to make those connections, and so we recognize the importance of building relationships and then also connecting adults to every student in the building.
Going to ball games, going to events, whether it's a jazz band dinner or, you know, I'm a basketball guy anyway, so that kind of comes easy. I like going to the games. And it's not just the players that see you there, it's the other kids that you see there and interact with.
My heart is with the students and building relationships. It was something I was a little afraid of when I was getting into administration because, you know, your thoughts on that prior are that, you know, you're just the mean guy putting everyone in ALC or wherever, but it's truly not like that. I first became a counselor because that's where my heart was. Even when I was teaching, I loved English, I loved to read and write, but I loved getting to know the kids, especially those who struggle. And I think if a student knows that you care about them and you do these fun things in school that get them excited about school, it makes this one that much more effective, in my opinion.
You know, Kelly, you mentioned 11 participating districts with this grant, and as I look over the number of schools that each one had and the number of students, they all came to us at such a different place, but and each of them throughout the 5 years worked at different paces with the grant. But amazing work was done with each one. You know, as we start in Barron County, and it all, you know, feel free to go down the list of just our 11 participating and the work they've done.
Like you said, there's 11 districts, so GRREC services many more districts than that, 47 districts to be exact. But in this grant, we have worked so closely with those 11 districts. So yes, Barron, Caverna, Christian, Davies, Elizabethtown, Glasgow, Logan, Muhlenberg, Ohio, Owensboro, and then Russellville. And within those 11 districts, the grant has served all of their schools, so 110 schools and almost 47,000 students have been touched by the work of this grant. And you know, I've said it probably at every team meeting, every advisory council meeting, probably every time we talk about the grant, we talk about that overarching goal of we want all students to be able to learn in a safe, trusting, trauma-sensitive school environment. And that in itself that has been our end goal since we began.
I think I can say for both of us, this was such emotionally driven work, because what parent and educator doesn't want that for a student or their child? So we were in it from the beginning, and I think the 11 districts were too, because how could you not want that especially with the way the world is today. You know, we talked about in the very beginning, and you've already said, we both have, about relationships, and we spent 6 months pushing that and driving that home as much as we could, and we realized that this grant, it embedded everybody in the district. I think the bus drivers and with the cafeteria workers, I think they felt good to be included in those trainings because they can be a pivotal part on a good day or a bad day when it comes to a student. So
that's some of the most impactful work that we did in the grant was training all staff. And like you said, the support staff, the admin, all the way down to the support staff. And you know, one of the things that we've seen and is just how our school counselors are wanting to do the work that they were hired to do. You know, we've tried throughout the life of the grant to repurpose the role of the school counselor, and you know, we're seeing that trend, we're seeing that movement. Did we get truly to that 80% of, you know, supporting students, you know, directly supporting students? No, but I still consider it a win because we are moving, districts are having those conversations, they're taking things off those school counselors' plates and allowing them to do the work to support students in their mental health. And I think the other groups that we have seen really come together and collaborate with the embedded mental health professionals has been like our Friskies and the SROs. I mean, we see those partnerships have just strengthened throughout. Those Friskies, they have come on board and supported the mental health professionals in all of these family engagement, family nights. And what I have loved is, you know, when I have been able to attend those, there really is a focus on mental health. And there's a focus on truly supporting parents, you know, providing them resources, you know, just showing them things that they can do at home to help support their students. And so I have loved seeing that throughout the grant because that was a huge focus, was parent involvement and parent engagement and really supporting that whole child. And you know, when you see, you know, like E-Town and their Panther Prowler bus that goes out all across the district, you know, and when you see these family engagement nights where they invite the whole family and they get wellness kits and, you know, which includes things like games to play or vouchers for food. I mean, you know, where they can go eat and just all of those things. It's just so impactful for these students. And while they were already doing parent engagement,
doing great work, every district,
they were already doing it, but it just brought it to the forefront that maybe we need to pull in some mental health. Maybe we need to support our parents with how do I help my kid?
I think that's one thing looking back I'm proud of is working at a district where mental health has been a priority.
I think that has made a huge difference in how prepared our counselors feel, making sure that they are serving the students the best they can.
You know, it's all encompassing from make sure that your students are supported, obviously, but also your families and your staff members.
Teachers have recognized how important their own mental health is in the classroom over the last 5 years.
And they left feeling like, okay, I feel a little bit more comfortable about being able to find those signs in our kids and being able to link our parents together and kind of have those conversations and be comfortable with those sort of conversations. And so just thinking about even our bus drivers and our teachers and our food cafeteria staff and just how much everybody has grown.
You're a principal of a building and a leader of a building. You have so many children and so many staff that look to you to lead. And so that TIC training gave me a chance to really take my staff through what I had learned and what had changed me. And so we spent a solid 2 years really going through what do we understand about trauma? How does that impact the learning in a classroom? What are things that teachers can do to ensure that you're providing that safe space and that one trusted adult where children can not move past their trauma, but to be able to cope with it in a way where it doesn't interfere with the things that we want out of public school.
To help us with the trauma-informed care, to help us with those SEL supports, to help us understand that these are not added things to the plate. These are the plate, and this is the culture that we want to create in our buildings.
Throughout the life of the grant, we've really realized that our adults need support as well, and so I think we've been able to, provide, resources for staff wellness and really support the districts in how they can, what can we do to support our staff? Because if they're in a good place, they're going to be in a good place. The students are going to be in a good place.
And I think that was an outgrowth from the grant that we didn't even think about. We all need support. And I think for the first time we were all felt very open to talk about, I may not be okay today, but my teacher next door is going to be able to help me out. And so that's been a blessing.
We have said that all along. We have really truly, I think, driven that home that it's okay to not be okay. But there are resources out there, and I think that's where all of our, our community partners come in, our mental health professionals, our school counselors are rock stars. They have really taken this work and ran with it.
You see these mental health professionals, and they're giving in their districts constantly. And this is a few minutes out of the week where they get to have someone feeding them. And it's a group of other people that all know what they're going through. And that's one of the things that I think has been a big impact, is being able to watch them grow and learn from one another when they needed to.
My mom passed away about a little over a year ago, and she was suffering from depression. So, seeing her go through those things, and for me, my mom was one of the strongest people that I knew. So, to see her struggle with things mentally, I just kind of felt that if she was struggling with some things and felt that she couldn't come forward and talk about them, I wanted to kind of change the culture, change the dynamic, and create that here.
And while we maybe did not reach every height that we wanted to within the grant, we have such fabulous outcomes. We have increased parent engagement. We have increased, student engagement. And just that self-efficacy piece among the staff and being able to recognize students that may need support, feeling like I can refer a student. I know what to do as a teacher or as a support staff. I know who to reach out to. I know how to get that student the help that they need. And so those things are huge takeaways. I love that our districts have embraced the data. I love that they let that drive the work. I love that they look at their behavior data and analyze it, their attendance data. I love that they pull in all of those non-academic pieces, because that's how you truly support the whole child. You have to understand, if they're not at school, there's a reason for that. If they're acting out, there's a reason for that. If their grades are low, there's a reason for that. And so it's our job, it's everybody's job to meet them where they are, to get them on the path to success.
The first thing that really jumps out at me just involves the reach of the school-based mental health services that were available through this initiative. Over the course of the past several years, we've invited the embedded mental health professionals working in each district, school counselors, and other staff providing mental health supports in districts to record services that they provide to Tier 2 and 3 students, individual counseling sessions, but other services such as group counseling, parent consultations, and things like that as well. Over the course of the grant, we've recorded by district, by grade level, by year, but at the end of the day, through this work, more than 14,000 unique unduplicated students have been served with school-based mental health services. And just to paint a picture with that, 14,000 is about the population of Trigg County, Kentucky. It's about the capacity of Louisville Slugger Stadium. And what I think is maybe the most powerful visual is that's about 200 school buses. 200 school buses filled with students that have been served through this initiative. And when we talk about what it means to be served, it can be anything from anger and behavior, academic issues, to home life concerns, to abuse, to self-harm, anxiety and depression. Having these services available in schools, when you think about 200 school buses filled with students that would not have otherwise been able to access these services, at least during the school day, that's pretty incredible.
What this work has done is it has opened everyone's eyes to know that we all struggle, and it's okay that we all struggle, and it's okay to share those experiences. You know, I think for our team in the last 5 years, we've all experienced a lot of loss within the schools, within our personal families, and to have that support system to where you know who is out there that can support you and get you through those trying times has opened, I think, our team's eyes to be more, even more supportive within their districts.
I think
within
so
their
too.
districts. And you know, we've dealt with a lot of student loss over the last 5 years within our districts. Students have died by suicide, which has, the first time that happened was early on in the grant, probably year 1. And I took it personal. I mean, I felt like, what did we not do in that district? Or what should we be doing? And I think that really turned me around in how I was supporting the work, because it made it become more personal to me.
It's heavy.
It's not just a job. This is a student's life, and we have to make sure that we are there for them, that we are recognizing when they're struggling, that we are providing them with the supports that they need to be able to get through those trying times, because we all go through them and we all need help. We all need support. We all need to come together and make a difference.
And I think it's given everybody a voice. It's okay to talk. And I think it, you know, people feel more comfortable. It's helped give this work a voice. And I think that has meant a lot to everyone.
I think everything just became more personal. You know, when we all have a heart. We all have a heart for kids, but you have to own it. And I think that's what our districts have done throughout this work. They have owned it, and they're not ready to stop. They're not ready to stop the journey. They're going to continue this work. They're going to continue to strengthen those relationships and those partnerships, and great things are going to continue to happen.